Okay, let's not sugarcoat it. Cleveland just lit a match and tossed it into the NFL's most flammable room, the quarterback depth chart. The Browns, yes, the Browns, just leapfrogged Shedeur Sanders over Dillon Gabriel. And not in the let's try him out in a preseason throwaway kind of way. No, they made it loud, clear, permanent, QB1 reps, with the ones, full throttle. And if your jaw didn't hit the floor when you saw the news, then congratulations. You've clearly never watched Cleveland fumble quarterback decisions like a toddler with a stick of butter. If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed. But this time, this wasn't a fumble. This was a cannonball into chaos. General Manager Andrew Berry just changed the conversation, not just in Cleveland, not just in the AFC North, but across the entire league, because what he did wasn't safe. It wasn't subtle. It was bold, borderline reckless, and fully aware of the noise it would generate. He didn't ease Shedeur in. He shoved him into the spotlight. And whether you see that as brilliance or madness depends entirely on how much faith you have in potential over polish. And let's be honest, this was never going to be about Gabriel versus Sanders based on game film alone. This was about something bigger. This was about Cleveland doing what Cleveland never does, taking control of its narrative. Because for decades, the Browns have played catch-up, waiting for things to develop, letting situations unfold organically, being reactive, playing it safe. And look where that's gotten them. Quarterback after quarterback, year after year. Brief sparks followed by brutal letdowns. From Johnny Manziel to Baker Mayfield to 1,000, maybe this time, experiments that all fizzled into mediocrity. But this move with Shedeur, this is proactive. This is the franchise picking a side, a future, a face, a feeling. And Andrew Berry knows exactly what he's doing. He didn't just see a kid with a cannon arm. He saw the moment, the momentum, the media surge, the brand of Shedeur Sanders, and all the cultural gravity that comes with it. This isn't just about football talent anymore. It's about impact. And Shedeur, he moves people. Let's talk facts for a second. Dillon Gabriel isn't a bad quarterback. He's solid, reliable. He's everything a conservative team would love. Checkdowns? Yes. Game management? For sure. Clock control? Got it. But you don't build an era around solid. You build it around swagger. And Shedeur brings it in spades. He doesn't just play the position. He owns it. That poise, that unbothered calm, the way he walks into press conferences like he's already won the division, that's not arrogance. That's presence. And that's what Cleveland has been missing for years. A quarterback with gravity. When Shedeur steps into the huddle, things shift. The vibe changes. The line blocks a little harder. The receivers run their routes like they actually believe something special might happen. And the fans? Oh, don't even get started. You've got kids painting SS logos on their foam fingers. Local businesses are slapping his face on limited edition wings. TikTok is flooded with edits of Shedeur in slow motion, wearing the Browns brown and orange like it was tailored by Virgil Abloh himself. This isn't a fan base. It's a movement. So, yeah, Andrew Berry pushed Shedeur forward. But he wasn't just promoting a player. He was elevating a narrative. Because football, like it or not, is as much about belief as it is about stats. And Shedeur has given Cleveland something to believe in. Now, does this come with risk? Absolutely. Let's not act like this is all fairy dust and hype videos. Shedeur's still raw. His preseason performances have had their shaky moments. A pick six here, a fumble there. And sure, the NFL is an entirely different beast than college. The windows are tighter. The hits are harder. The margin for error? Basically non-existent. But that's why Berry made this move now. Because you don't wait for perfection. You bet on potential. You don't wait for Shedeur to earn it the traditional way. He already has, just not through the usual checklist. He earned it by shifting the culture, the conversation, and the ceiling of what this franchise can be. And for those screaming it's too soon from the rooftops, let's rewind the tape. Was it too soon when Patrick Mahomes got the keys after one season on the bench? Was it too soon when Justin Herbert was thrown into a game because of a freak injury and never looked back? Was it too soon when the Bengals handed a franchise to a rookie named Joe? No. You know why? Because when you know, and Andrew Berry knows. The locker room knows. The city definitely knows. Shedeur isn't just the future. He's the present. And that's what makes this so electric and so terrifying, because there's no turning back. If Shedeur shines, if he starts slinging lasers, orchestrating comebacks, and flexing with that signature cool after a 300-yard game, he'll own the city, the league, the moment. But if he flops, if the pressure crushes him, if the spotlight becomes a furnace instead of a crown, then it all falls back on Andrew Berry, and fast. He'll be labeled reckless, short-sighted, desperate, the GM who let the hype override the tape. But here's the thing. Cleveland's already lived through the safe route. They've been down the Dillon Gabriel road before, maybe not with him specifically, but with quarterbacks like him. Safe bets, high floors, low chaos. And where did that get them? Empty seats, endless rotations, a highlight reel filled with sacks and size. So now they're choosing chaos. They're choosing swagger. They're choosing Shedeur. And the reaction? Predictably split. The old-school fans are foaming at the mouth. The talk radio guys are throwing tantrums between commercial breaks. He hasn't earned it, they yell. It's a gimmick, they cry. It's Dion's influence, they moan. But the city's young core, the ones buying jerseys, posting clips, filling the dog pound with noise and hope, they're all in. They don't want another quarterback who plays not to lose. They want a quarterback who believes he was born to win. And Shedeur? He walks like he's already carved his name into the end zone. So here we are. The Browns have drawn their line in the sand. No more hedging. No more half measures. No more waiting until next year. It's happening now. The Sanders era has officially begun. The only question left, is the NFL ready for it? Because Cleveland sure as hell is. All right, buckle up. Because now that Shedeur Sanders has officially been elevated to QB1 by Browns GM Andrew Berry, we're not just in new territory. We're in uncharted territory. Off the map, off the script, off the rails, in the best possible way. This isn't just a depth chart update. This is a franchise identity crisis, a cultural awakening, and a full-blown narrative shift all hitting at the exact same time. It's the kind of decision that either changes the course of a team's future or becomes the stuff of 30 for 30 documentaries titled The Crown and the Curse. Let's rewind for a second, because if you told anyone 6 months ago that Shedeur Sanders would be starting in Cleveland, you probably would have been laughed out of the room by a chorus of he's not ready, and we already have options. The franchise had a plan, a typical, slow-cooked, veteran-led, development-minded plan. The plan was named Dillon Gabriel, a guy who, by all accounts, had the resume, the reliability, and the system familiarity to bridge the gap. But then Shedeur walked in, and everything changed. He didn't throw shade. He didn't stir drama. He just showed up differently. And everyone felt it. You could see it in his body language during training camp. Confident, measured, even when things got loud. You could hear it in the way he spoke to reporters. No fake humility, no overhyped promises, just straight vision, clarity, ownership. And now, Andrew Berry has looked at this chaos and said, yes, that's our guy. Not next year, not week 12, now. And let me tell you, this is not how NFL franchises usually operate. Most front offices would have protected the depth chart with their lives. They would have buried Shedeur under the developmental prospect label, sprinkled him into preseason drives, let him sit behind Flacco or Gabriel until the timing felt safe, clean, textbook. But Andrew Berry, he threw the textbook out the window, lit it on fire, and gave Shedeur the keys. And that move, that's not just brave, it's generational. Because this isn't just about football. This is about belief, about shifting culture, about grabbing the narrative and wrestling it back from the ghosts that have haunted this franchise for 2 decades. And make no mistake, those ghosts are real. You can feel them in the size of lifelong Browns fans who have lived through a never-ending loop of quarterback heartbreaks. You can see it in the eyes of players who watch leadership turnover, locker room drama. And this year might be different. Optimism collapsed before Thanksgiving. But now, there's a spark again. Because Shedeur isn't just walking into a job. He's walking into a moment. And you know what the most terrifying part is? He seems completely unbothered by it. No pressure. No panic. Just poise. That's what makes this feel different. We've seen talented rookies before. But not like this. Not with this kind of brand. This kind of composure. This kind of context. Shedeur isn't just a QB. He's a force. And his rise isn't just a feel-good story. It's a full-on disruption of how franchises manage young talent, leadership dynamics, and fan expectation. Now, let's get into the deeper layer. Because while the NFL is reacting to this move in real time, split between admiration and eye rolls, Cleveland is having a spiritual experience. This city doesn't just want a quarterback. It wants a savior. And while that sounds dramatic, remember, this is a fan base that has earned every ounce of its desperation. No city has cycled through more failed quarterback experiments with such painfully loyal optimism. No team has crashed harder, more often, in the exact same way. And so when Shedeur steps onto that field, he's not just taking a snap. He's carrying an entire city's need for redemption. And that's not a burden. It's a crown. He wears it. He wants it. He's built for the weight that would crush 99% of rookies. And not just because of his last name or his media training or the viral moments. Because of the fire, the fuel, the chip on his shoulder that says, "Watch me." Let's talk about that chip, by the way. Because while a lot of rookies come into the league hoping to earn respect, Shedeur came in expecting to command it. And not in an arrogant, walk all over you kind of way. In a calculated, earned way. The way you earn it by showing up at 5 a.m., first one in the facility, last one out. The way you earn it by taking hits in preseason, getting back up, and throwing 40-yard lasers like nothing happened. The way you earn it by out-preparing everyone in the room, even the guy ahead of you on the depth chart. That's what did it. That's what made Barry pull the trigger. It wasn't a social media campaign. It wasn't a headline or a hype train. It was the tape, the footwork, the reads, the body language when a broken play turned into a first down, the huddle control, the ability to look a 10-year vet in the eye and say, "Let's go win this." You can't teach that. And now, he's got the job. And suddenly, every eye in the league is on Cleveland. Not because they're winning yet, but because they've dared to believe again, dared to break the formula, dared to turn the keys over not to experience, not to safety, but to firepower. And that brings us to Dillon Gabriel. Let's talk about it, because we can't pretend like this wasn't a gut punch. Gabriel didn't do anything wrong. He showed up. He did the work. He was respectful, focused, professional. He was ready. But in the modern NFL, ready isn't always enough. You can be ready and still get passed over if someone else shows up with momentum and magic. And Shedeur, he brought both. Now, Gabriel's role shifts from QB1 hopeful to support system, mentor, backup, whatever the team needs. And that's a tough pill to swallow. Because he didn't lose the job on merit. He lost it to a movement. That's the new NFL reality. You're not just competing against talent anymore. You're competing against narrative, against cultural gravity, against a guy who can both win games and sell out the stadium with one post. That's the Shedeur effect, and it's very real. So now the question becomes, can he deliver? We know he can lead. We know he can inspire. We know he can dominate the internet like a seasoned brand mogul. But can he win? Can he go into Pittsburgh in December, down 10 in the fourth quarter, and orchestrate a 75-yard drive with 80,000 screaming maniacs in his ears? Can he make the throws when it matters? Can he bounce back after throwing 2 picks in a game that feels like it's slipping away? That's what we're about to find out. And if he can, if Shedeur not only holds a job, but owns it, then this won't just be the boldest decision of Andrew Berry's career. It'll be the moment Cleveland football finally turned the page. So cue the music, light the torches, start the clock, because the Sanders era has officially begun, and the NFL is about to feel the full weight of the crown. All right, let's keep this train rolling. Because if you think the Browns naming Shedeur Sanders as their starting quarterback is just another rookie promotion, you are wildly underestimating the moment. This isn't just a hot hand call or some preseason stunt to get the media buzzing. This is a line in the sand, drawn in Sharpie under stadium lights, with every camera in the country zoomed in. This is the Cleveland Browns finally saying what every torture fan has secretly screamed into their TV for years. Do something bold, something real, something that doesn't feel like another recycle failure. And Andrew Berry, he heard it, loud and clear. Because naming Shedeur the starter doesn't just shift a depth chart. It rips the roof off the entire culture of this team. Let's be honest. Cleveland has never been afraid to experiment at quarterback. If anything, they've done it too much. You could build a haunted house with all the forgotten Browns QBs of the last 20 years. But the problem hasn't been change. It's been timid change. Incremental, hesitant, non-committal change. The kind where you draft a guy, let him rot behind a veteran, and then maybe give him a shot after the season's already gone to hell. But this is full send. This is not easing Shedeur into the spotlight. It's turning the spotlight into a laser beam and daring him to shine. And guess what? He wants it. This is what separates him from so many other rookies. He isn't ducking expectations. He's leaning in. You can see it in his posture, in the way he speaks to reporters, in the way he looks completely unfazed by the whirlwind around him. He's not playing to prove he belongs. He's playing like he knows he does. Now, let's talk about what this means on a deeper level. Because this isn't just about replacing Dillon Gabriel. This is about flipping the entire value system of the Browns front office. For years, they favored safe picks. Technical guys. Smart but unflashy. Solid mechanics. Good interviews. Zero risk. And where has that gotten them? Mediocrity. Muted headlines. Empty stadium sections by week 10. Now, they've turned to a quarterback who's not just a quarterback. He's a media phenomenon, a fashion icon, a digital brand, a walking headline with a cannon for an arm and a logo that's already outselling most NFL jerseys. And he hasn't even started a game yet. This isn't just football. This is entertainment. This is business. This is relevance. And Andrew Berry sees that. He's not just drafting for touchdowns anymore. He's drafting for transformation. For a quarterback who doesn't just throw the ball, but moves the market. You don't think that matters? Take a look around the league. Patrick Mahomes isn't just winning rings. He's selling shoes, streaming commercials, and defining the next generation of cool. Joe Burrow? Same thing. Lamar Jackson? Kyler Murray? Jalen Hurts? These guys understand their power. And now Shedeur walks in with all of that, and more, because let's not forget where he came from. Shedeur Sanders has been under the spotlight since birth, the son of one of the greatest athletes of all time. He didn't just grow up watching greatness. He grew up being expected to live up to it. Most kids would have crumbled under that weight. Shedeur, he studied it. He sharpened it into a brand, into a work ethic, into a calm, surgical confidence that makes even seasoned NFL players stop and stare. The guy oozes composure. And in Cleveland, that's a miracle. Because Cleveland fans, they've seen every version of quarterback chaos. The cocky bust, the injury-prone almost star, the boring system guy, the draft day panic pick, the backup turned savior turned tragedy. They've seen everything except a quarterback who makes them believe the drama might finally be over. And that's what Shedeur offers. He doesn't just bring upside. He brings closure to a decade of false starts, of empty promises, of maybe next year. He represents the end of the carousel. Now let's pause and address the critics, because, oh boy, they're already out in force. You got analysts saying he's not ready. Twitter threads filled with, "This is just a marketing stunt." Old school GMs clutching their scouting reports like rosary beads, swearing this is too soon. But here's what they don't get. This isn't about ready. It's about necessary. Shedeur may not have the most polished NFL tape, but what he does have is the exact energy this team needs. You want to talk about stats? Fine. He threw for over 3,000 yards behind one of the worst offensive lines in college football. Took hits. Got up. Took more hits. Still delivered dimes. Still showed poise. His completion percentage? High. His football IQ? undeniable. His leadership already felt in the locker room. And speaking of that locker room, don't think for 1 second that this move hasn't supercharged the vibe. Guys are buzzing. Receivers want to run routes for him. Linebackers are hyped to defend him in practice. The young players, they see themselves in him. Because Shedeur doesn't walk around acting like he's above the grind. He is the grind. And that earns respect fast. Even vets like Joe Flacco, who could have easily pulled a "this kid hasn't earned it yet" card, are showing nothing but support. Because even they know this ain't normal. This is next. So now the city of Cleveland stands at the edge of something real, tangible, different. It's not a promise. It's not a guarantee. It's a gamble. But for once, it's a gamble that feels worth it. Because Shedeur Sanders isn't just here to fill a role. He's here to build a legacy. He's not walking in as a quarterback. He's walking in as a moment. And everyone from the fans to the players to the front office knows it. The only question now, can he rise to it? Can he take all this hype, all this energy, all this pressure and convert it into wins? Because that's what it comes down to. Style, swagger, presence. They'll get you the spotlight. But victories? That's what earns a throne. And in Cleveland, there's only one crown. And it's been gathering dust for way too long. But now, the crown is on. The moment is here. And Shedeur, he's not running from it. He's walking toward it, with the city of Cleveland behind him, with the entire NFL watching, and with one clear message for anyone still doubting. Let's ride.